Most people spend decades paying for things that only impress others and silently trap them financially. Are you one of them? Today, more than ever, we're led to believe that having more equals success. Big houses, luxury cars, expensive watches. They're sold as symbols of freedom. But the truth? Many of these so-called assets are actually modern-day chains. They impress others, sure, but they silently imprison you for years, even decades. And the worst part? Most people don't realize it until it's too late. In the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal the 8 most common assets that seem like wealth, but actually keep you stuck. And at the end, I'll show you how to flip the script and make money work for you instead of the other way around. Asset No. 1, the fancy car that owns you. Most people don't buy a car. They buy a monthly payment and call it success. That brand new luxury vehicle? It may look like a symbol of freedom, but more often, it's a financial leash. The second you drive it off the lot, it loses up to 30% of its value. And yet, you'll keep paying for years, not just in the loan, but in higher insurance, maintenance, and taxes. It's one of the fastest depreciating assets in existence, but we still chase it because we want to look successful. In reality, it's a liability dressed up as a status symbol. And here's the trap. Once you upgrade, it becomes harder to downgrade. The comfort, the image, the social validation, they're addictive. Suddenly, you're financing the lifestyle instead of building the life. Meanwhile, true wealth builders, even millionaires, often drive modest used cars. Not because they can't afford better, but because they know impressing people costs money. Ignoring them builds wealth. But the next asset is even trickier, because it's been sold to us as the ultimate dream. Let's talk about owning a home. Asset number 2, the house that becomes a trap. We've all heard it. Buying a home is the best investment you'll ever make. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Not always. For many, a home isn't an asset. It's a massive, slow-burning liability. Yes, owning property can build equity over time. But most people don't truly own their homes. The bank does. And by the time they've paid off the mortgage, usually 30 years later, they've also paid 2 to 3 times the original purchase price due to interest. Now add property taxes, maintenance, insurance, unexpected repairs, upgrades to keep up with trends, and, let's be honest, renovations that are more about Instagram than actual need. What you end up with is a lifestyle anchored to a fixed location, high costs, and decades of debt disguised as security. The home itself can become a psychological trap too. People stay in jobs they hate to keep up with mortgage payments. They delay big dreams, starting a business, traveling the world, even relocating, because the house owns them. Of course, real estate can be a powerful tool for wealth when done strategically. But a primary residence that stretches your budget thin, that's not an investment. That's a burden. And if that surprised you, wait until you see the next one. It's something people brag about constantly, without realizing it's often destroying their future. Let's talk about luxury fashion and personal branding. Asset number 3, the status symbol. Wardrobe. You've probably seen it. The designer shoes, the $800 sneakers, the watch that costs more than someone's rent. They're meant to signal status, confidence, success. But here's the truth. Most people wearing wealth aren't building it. Luxury fashion is one of the most deceptive spending traps because it feels like you're investing in yourself. It feels powerful to wear the brand, to be seen, to fit in with the wealthy. But there's a huge difference between looking rich and being rich, and clothes, shoes, jewelry, these are not assets. They don't grow in value. They don't produce income. In fact, they lose value the moment you wear them. Worse, they create a false standard you feel pressure to maintain. You buy once to impress, then feel the need to upgrade again and again just to keep up the image. Before you know it, your closet is full, but your bank account is empty. Some of the world's wealthiest people wear the same outfit every day, not because they're boring, but because they're focused. They understand that confidence doesn't come from brands, it comes from freedom. And what most people don't realize? The need to impress others is one of the most expensive addictions in the world. But that addiction doesn't stop with what we wear. It shows up in how we spend our time too. The next trap? It looks like networking, but it might actually be draining your future. Let's talk about overpriced memberships and social clubs. Asset number 4, the prestige lifestyle subscriptions. There's a new kind of status symbol, one that doesn't sit in your garage or hang in your closet. It's the exclusive access pass. Private clubs, elite gyms, co-working spaces with espresso bars, luxury concierge services, all promising a sense of belonging and prestige. On the surface, they feel like smart investments in your environment, your productivity, your network. But in reality, many of these subscriptions are recurring expenses disguised as lifestyle upgrades. Let's break it down: $300 a month for a members-only workspace, $200 a month for an upscale gym with eucalyptus towels and mood lighting, another $100 here, $150 there, and suddenly you're spending thousands per year to maintain an identity. Not build wealth, just to sustain an image. The problem isn't the service itself. It's that these memberships are rarely aligned with long-term goals. They feed ego, not equity. And here's the subtle danger. Because the payments are monthly and automatic, they feel invisible. Until you step back and realize you're locked into a lifestyle designed to impress people you probably don't even know. There's nothing wrong with enjoying nice things. But when recurring luxuries become financial habits, they quietly anchor you to a life you can't afford to exit. And speaking of habits, the next asset trap doesn't cost hundreds at once, it bleeds you a few dollars at a time, every single day. Let's talk about the most underestimated drain of them all: convenience culture. Asset number 5, the cost of constant convenience. We live in the age of on-demand everything. Food delivered to your door, groceries without stepping foot in a store, rides anytime, anywhere. And it feels like progress, fast, easy, effortless. But here's the truth. Convenience comes at a silent, compounding cost. Those $12 delivery fees, $8 lattes, $20 ride shares, and small subscriptions for streaming, storage, and same-day shipping, they add up fast. Not just in dollars, but in mindset. Because every time you trade money for comfort, you're reinforcing a dangerous belief that your time is too valuable to do the small things. That outsourcing your life is the key to freedom. But freedom isn't found in convenience. It's found in control. People often say, it's just $5. But $5 every day is $150 a month, nearly $2,000 a year. That's the cost of one small habit. Now, multiply that across everything in your life that's just a few bucks. What you'll find isn't just wasted money, it's a system designed to keep you consuming, not creating. Convenience isn't evil, but when it becomes a default, rather than a conscious choice, it can trap you in a cycle of shallow comfort and deep financial stagnation. And here's the kicker. Most of the people trapped in this loop don't feel broke until they try to do something meaningful with their money and realize they've already spent it. But the next trap is even more deceptive because it's sold as fun, deserved, and even self-care. Let's talk about the lifestyle that lives for the weekend. Asset number 6, the weekend escape economy. There's a phrase you'll hear everywhere. You work hard, you deserve it. It's the anthem of weekend getaways, bottomless brunches, spa days, club nights, and impulsive retail therapy. It sounds harmless, even healthy. But behind that message is a dangerous mindset. You earn relief, not freedom. The weekend escape economy thrives on this idea. It convinces people that spending money is how you reclaim control of a life you don't actually enjoy. But here's the truth. If your lifestyle requires constant escape, it's not success, it's survival. When fun becomes a coping mechanism, it turns into an expensive cycle. You work all week to earn money, only to spend it trying to forget how you earned it. The dinner's out, the drinks, the spontaneous trips you can't really afford. They don't just eat into your budget, they delay your future. This isn't about cutting joy. It's about questioning why we need constant relief just to feel okay. Wealthy people enjoy life too, but with intention, not compensation. They don't spend to escape a life they hate. They build a life they don't need to run from. And once you realize that, something shifts. You start asking, is this helping me live better or just feel better for a moment? But the next trap? It's the most disguised of all. Because it's packaged as an investment in your future, and it's pushed harder than ever before. Let's talk about formal education. Asset number 7. The education that becomes a life sentence. We're told from a young age, go to college, get a degree. That's the path to success. But what if that asset, the one meant to unlock your future, is actually the thing that keeps you financially stuck? Student loans are now one of the largest forms of consumer debt in the world. Millions of people graduate owing tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. often before they've earned a single paycheck. And here's the harsh reality. Many of those degrees don't lead to careers that justify the cost. It's a setup that feels like progress, but behaves like a trap. Because the moment you graduate, you're on the clock. Monthly payments kick in, interest piles up, and suddenly, you're forced to make job decisions based on survival, not purpose. You take what you can, not what aligns with your goals, all because of a promise that didn't match reality. Education should open doors, not close them. But when the system is built around debt, the line between empowerment and imprisonment gets blurry fast. This doesn't mean education isn't valuable, but blindly following a path without understanding the cost, return, or purpose. That's not smart. That's expensive. True financial intelligence isn't about rejecting school. It's about asking, is this helping me grow wealth or just buy credibility? But there's one more asset, and it's the most deceptive of them all. Because on paper, it makes perfect sense. But in practice, it keeps millions of people exactly where they are. Let's talk about owning a business that owns you back. Asset 8, the business that feels like freedom. But isn't. Starting a business is often seen as the ultimate path to freedom. No boss, no limits, no ceiling. But here's the part no one talks about. Not all businesses set you free. Some just build you a nicer cage. You see, many people don't create a business. They create a job. One that pays better, sure, but demands more of their time, energy, and identity than any employer ever did. They work longer hours. They carry all the risk. They can't unplug because everything depends on them. And yet, they tell themselves they're free because they don't have a boss. But stress is still there. Uncertainty is still there. And worst of all, their income is still tied to their effort. There's nothing wrong with working hard. But true financial freedom doesn't come from being busy. It comes from building systems, assets, and value that exist independent of your time. A business can absolutely be a powerful wealth-building tool if it's designed to scale, automate, and eventually operate without you. But if you're stuck in a cycle of overwork, underrest, and identity tied to performance, you haven't escaped the system. You've just recreated it with a new logo. So now you know the 8 so-called assets that look impressive, but often trap people in cycles of stress, debt, and illusion. But don't worry, this isn't where the story ends. Because next, we're going to flip the script. Let's talk about how to spot real assets, the kind that build freedom, not just status. You've just seen the truth behind 8 assets that look impressive, but can silently imprison you. Cars, homes, clothes, memberships, convenience, escapes, degrees, businesses. Each one packaged as success, but too often bought at the cost of freedom. But now you know better. Because the real flex isn't how much you spend, it's how much control you have over your time, your choices, your future. So here's the mindset shift. Before you buy anything, ask yourself, is this building my freedom or just feeding my image? Real assets do one of 3 things. They grow in value, they generate income, or they buy back your time. Everything else? Just noise. If this video made you rethink the way you see wealth, hit that like button. It helps us reach more people trapped in the same illusions. And if you're serious about building a financial life you don't need to escape from, subscribe now. Because the next video reveals the most overlooked wealth habit that self-made millionaires swear by. Click here to watch it and start building assets that actually set you free.